Hello, welcome to my channel. I'm Adeline with adejuansartdolls. If you're new here, welcome. And if you have been here before, welcome back. In this video, I will prime up the kit that I will be working on from start to finish. Then I will show how I mix a lot of my paints, my flesh tone paints. So, come on in and let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to varnish my kit. And I'm going to show you how I mix up my prime. And I'm going to show you how I prime my kit. I don't use a primer. I use Liquitex Ultra Matte Gel. I mix it with my water and my wetting agent. When I mix my water and wetting agent, this is how I mix it. This is my wetting agent. And what I do with this, you don't need a lot of this. Trust me, you do not need a lot of that. I put about that much in the bottle, very little, and then I fill the rest up with distilled water. I kind of give it a nudge or two, you know, like that, so that it can mix. And then I use it throughout my painting. This is how I use these little jars. These are little 1 ounce jars, I think they are. And I use them to hold my paints, or if I'm going to mix any paints that I want to not have to do every time I need to do that process. But what I do is I put some of this, it's a hair in there. We don't need that in there. Let's get that out of there, because we don't need that in there. Okay. I take a little glob. You see, it's a glob. And I put it in my container. And I kind of smush it around so that it won't be just such a glob, you know. It will kind of mix in easily without it being a glob. So I just kind of mix it up. And I think that will be all that I need of this. So I just kind of keep mixing, because it doesn't, you know, it doesn't matter whether you have enough or more, more than enough, because you you do this each time you prime a new kit. Okay, then I take my water and wetting agent and I just squirt some in. And I make sure that it is mixed well. And the consistency is probably like a little thinner than yogurt. See, it's still runny. It's still runny. And I kind of like it kind of runny, because, you know, I don't want it to be thick. Now, when I'm sealing a baby, I want it to be thick, because I'm sealing the paint onto the baby then. And that is at the end of the process, when before I do the varnishing. I use the same Liquitex Ultra Matte Gel, and I seal my paint on my babies. So I just keep mixing this until I feel like that there are no lumps or any, you know, globs in there. And there's another hair. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry about that. But that's something you don't want on your babies. You don't want hair on your babies. It is easy to get hair on the babies, and sometimes it takes a little bit of getting that hair off the babies. So you really don't want hair on your babies. So let me get my mic going here. My mic don't want to stay on. It don't want to stay on. I'm not trying to put it on right. Okay, what's wrong with you? Okay, now, okay. Back to mixing. And I believe that it is mixed to my consistency. Yeah. Okay, now, the next thing that I do is I make sure that I have some clean water and some clean sponges. Not those, the fluffy kind. And the bigger kind too. But I'll put them in the water and hydrate them so that they can fluff up and get to the maximum capacity that they're going to be, so that they can be jumbo kind of sponges. If you could do me one favor, and that's to like, subscribe, and share my videos. Sharing is caring. I would appreciate that. I am doing a drawing, a giveaway at 100 of subscribers, and you have to be a subscriber to get into the drawing. So, hit that subscribe button. Now that I have hydrated my sponges, and y'all, I'm not a teacher. I'm going to tell you that right off the bat. I am not a teacher. This is just my process in the way I make these babies. And I thought maybe that it would help somebody else. I'm not on always keeping a secret about everything. I like helping people, and I like telling people what makes it easy for me, what will make it easy for them, maybe. You know, some people like a challenge. Some people like to make things harder for them. But I'm not that kind of person. I like challenges, but I like them to be easy, you know. So what I do is, like I said, I dip my brush and kind of clean it off some. And then I start to paint my head. And people will say, you'll hear artists say all the time about air dry. Well, air dry dries fast. Yes, it does. You have to use mediums to keep it from drying fast. So that's what I use. That's why I use the wetting agent. That's why I use satin glazing. I don't put satin glazing in this part of the process though, but I do use it when I'm using paints. And then we just go all over the head and all the little creases, cracks, and crevices. And I try not to let anything dry, so I go back over to make sure nothing is dry, that everything stays wet. Now you see, I had plenty of time, and I can still be messing with this, but I have plenty of time to work with my kit, you know, put stuff on my kit before it dries. Now, I believe that it will dry much quicker if you're using a much thinner consistency in your paints. I think that's what make it dries faster, because it's not oil, and if it's just thin, that's like watercolors. Well, watercolors dry fast. It is intended to do that. So what I do is I work with a thicker blend of paints, of varnish, of, you know, primer. Whatever I'm doing on this baby, it's going to be in a thicker consistency. I hear people say, well, I put 100 layers on here. Oh, well, see, I'm not going to do that. Now, that's just straight up me. I'm not going to do that. I'm just being honest. I'm not getting ready to put no 100 layers of paint on in watercolors. No, I'm not. Now I take my sponge and I get off the biggest part of it. Can't get off in the creases and the crevices, and but I get off the biggest part. And then I look over here and find me a dry brush. Okay. And I will pounce out the rest of this. In the ears. Just make sure that you don't have pooling in your creases, because that builds up and it looks dirty. And in this tutorial, I'm only going to do the head and one arm and one leg. And I believe that if you're following me, you should be able to do that other leg and that other arm off camera. Then I go back over it and I pounce out any areas that I see that might look like it's wet. Because when I get done pouncing, I want it to look dry. It may not feel dry, but I want it to look dry. So I want to get all of the wet spots off of my kit. And this kid is Johanna. She's with she's a Reborn at Bountiful Baby. She's a cutie pie to me. She comes with open eyes and closed eyes. I'm just, closed eyes flies off the shelves too quick. So I just happened to catch this one. But if you try to catch her on the site, you'll probably get a better deal if you try to catch her on the site. She does have an email, a Bountiful Baby, put an email there for a notification when the baby is in stock again. So you could look out for that in your email address. But I would do that besides going to eBay. eBay does have these kits, but they are priced so high. Now, we're going to go to the leg. And each time you go into your paint container, you need to stir it. And that's with this, that's with the paints. Anytime you are painting your baby and you are going in and out of the container that you're using to paint or varnish or seal, whatever, you need to stir it up because it settles so quickly. When I first started, and this intimidated me so bad because I would try to put stuff on the baby, put paint on the baby, and it would streak, just streak up, crazy streaking. And that was frustrating to me. That was really frustrating to me. So I just said, this is not for me. Stick with your soap. You do that very well. Stick with your soap. But you know, I've just been doing soap for so long that I'm kind of getting burned out on doing soap because, see, when you go to the market to sell your goods, people want fast stuff. They want to make something in a minute and sell it, you know. But it takes a minute. It takes a lot of minutes to make these babies. You can't make them in a minute. So this is not something that's going to be readily out there in the market. Yes, you're going to see somebody out there making babies, but it's just not going to be prevalent like the soap is. So the soap is so saturated that it's hard for me to get into new markets because it's already, my category is already taken up. So I decided to get into my next hobby, and that was making babies. And it didn't take me long. Like I said, I've been making babies since May of this year. And it didn't take me long to really catch on because I don't look at television per se. I look at YouTube because I learn and I learn a lot on YouTube. And I'm retired. I'm retired, and I don't want to spend the rest of my life not doing anything. So I thought, well, let's put this to work and see if you can do it. And no matter what it is that I've tried to do in my life, I have been able to do anything and everything that I've tried to do. Anything that interests me. When I just pray about it, And I think that when you pray, when you want to do something and you pray about it, if things come to you for that project easy, very simple and easy, I believe that God is in it, okay? And he's giving you what you need to survive, to make that happen. So with this project, I have not only been able to get air dry paints, I have the whole setup for heat set paints. So I just believe, and like I said, this is just me, may not happen to everybody, but I just believe that God has a plan for me and that he is going to, I don't know. I think that he has a plan with these babies, with me. You know, when I made that decision or talked to him about doing that, it just came natural for me to just get the stuff, you know. And when I first started, I had air dry paints, not air dry, folk art. And then, it was just something about folk art. I just didn't like that. I have bought 3 or 4 different kinds of paints. And I don't know. What I winded up with was golden. And I love golden. I simply love golden. I love that I can do drop, 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 and put mix it up and have enough paint for me to do a whole baby or 2 or 3 babies. You know, I love that. So I chose golden. And I think that I will be sticking with golden. I tried the heat set. Like I said, I bought oven, I bought paints, I bought thinners, I bought mediums, I bought everything that is needed to do heat set paints. And I just couldn't get with that heating it up, putting some paint on it, heating it up, waiting till it cools. That was just not, that just didn't work with me. With the air dry paints, by the time you get through painting all of your limbs, your head and all of your limbs, the first thing that you painted is already dry. Not cured, but dry. Dry enough for you to put another layer of paint on. Now, I try not to put no more than 3 or 4 layers of paint. Some people say you can go more. I don't want to trust that because after a while it gets kind of smushy or sticky or something. I don't know. But that's not the way it feels to me is not. Let me get a smaller brush here so I can get right up into this finger part, because like I said, you do not want pooling of this stuff or any other paints at all. And you want to make sure that you clear out all of your creases, your crevices, your wrinkles, all of that. You need to make sure that everything is cleared out. And I usually let this set overnight, or if I do it early in the morning, like it is 10:25 now, probably about 12 or 1, I'll come back in here and then I'll start to do the second thing that I do, which is undertones. Or I may put the first layer of paint on the baby. Now, with this, I'm going to stop here. I'm going to let you all do that second set of limbs, the arm and the leg. When you come back to me, then it should be done. That part should be done. But what I do want to show you is how my paints are mixed. Now, all my knowledge came from YouTube, looking at videos over and over and over. And I don't mean just one video. I have looked at, I can't even tell you how many videos I look at. And I don't just look at a video at somebody doing something. If it's not teaching me anything, then that's not what I'm going to be watching. But what I did was, when it came to skin tones, I had bought some tutorials. And so when it came to skin tone, they would be, everything is Genesis. Everything is Genesis. It's very little on the website or YouTube, I guess. I mean, it's getting more on YouTube now about air dry, but at first, when I first started, it was just very little to get into about air dry. So I would buy these tutorials. I never knew if I was doing it right or if I was doing it wrong, or, you know, how is this procedure supposed to go? What is it supposed to look like when it's done? You know, it's just questions that I ask myself. And so I was always second guessing, I guess that's what you call that. Second guessing myself. So I went to Bountiful Baby. I was going to buy something on there. And so I noticed that Genesis had all the flesh colors there. So what I did was I made my own flesh colors by looking at their flesh colors and trying to mimic as close to theirs as I could get. This is what I printed off today to show you guys. I guess it needs to be turned this way to show you guys, because it goes from 8 to 2. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, and 2. And I tried to mimic the colors as best as I could with the paints that I had. So I saw another lady that made up her bases like that, and I thought that she used a medium to do that. So here we go back again with the latex ultra matte gel. I take some of this. I'm going to set it here. And these are my colors. Let's put these up here and these over here. This is 2 that I made. And see, it kind of mimics that. 2. And then, 3. My 3 is a little lighter than their 3. Because my 3 has more of a red tint to it. But you make your colors be what you want them to be. Okay, here's my 4. My 4. And like I said, my colors don't exactly look like theirs, but I'm going to take the tops off of all of them and put them in a row so that you can actually see what they actually look like coming from 1 to Okay, and this is my 5. And this is my 6. And this is my 7. And I didn't do an 8 because I'm not going to, I had said it once upon a time that I wanted to do Caucasian babies, but I think that I really want to stay with my ethnic babies. What I did was to make it be 8. I did an raw umber dark skin, and it is a little darker. So it's on the dark side. This is on the brown side. This is on the more or less the black side of black brown, and this is brown. I don't know how to explain it, but they are not the same, actually are not the same color. And so that's how I do my paints. When I want to make something, I just get a little glob out, put it in another container, add my wet agent, and that's what I make. Now, I have a couple of these that actually need some more paint in them. And so I was going to show you guys how I do that. And I didn't find all of my colors in, I didn't find all of my colors in the golden paints. I found some of my colors in, what is this, Apple Barrel. This is my number 6. It's Apple Barrel matte paints. It is the Territorial Beige. Folk Art. It is the Coffee. Let me see, 7 was an Apple Barrel matte, and it was khaki. So this is what I do, and this is how I make my bases. I kind of try to keep them at the same colors that they are in these jars, by mixing the let me get a brush here so that I can get some of this out of here. I need to bring some more brushes up. Okay, I'll use this smaller brush. And we'll do number 5. Is that what that says? Yep. And I just get it out of there. Of course, it's not coming out like I want. There we go. Like I want it to, because see, it doesn't make any difference the way of how much it comes out. It's how you dilute it out to make it be what you want it to be. You're not trying to fill up the whole jar. Okay, that's enough. Okay. And I try to mix it in. I try to mix it in first and leave some so that I know what color. Because if you can tell, I don't know if you can or not, I can't hardly see, but if you can tell in there, the paint that I took out of the bottle is a little darker than the paint that's in there. And so this is how I mix up things, is I use medium. I use some medium to do that. And I just mix and mix and mix and mix, because I wanted to kind of stay with the same color that was already in the jar instead of floating over to a different color. I wanted to kind of stay with that same color. So I don't mix it all in together yet. Oh, it's getting to the bottom of that jar. I need to buy some more. It's lasted a while though. Okay. Now, see, it's a lot of little mixing things, you know, into this game, because you want your paints to be your paints, not everybody else's paints per se, but kind of your paints. Now see, it's just a little bit off from that color right there to this color right here. So I think that I need some more medium in here. And that's what I do. This is how I mix up my paints. And see, like I said, you will always use this, so it doesn't matter if you make more, because you're going to use it anyway. You're going to need it for your skin tone, to help with your skin tone. And if you use this and it's still not the color that you want, you can always use your paint to add directly to your bowl. Don't add it to this, add it to your bowl. Okay. That has lightened it up a lot. I think we're about there. Yep, we're there. Now, what I'm going to do is leave it. I believe I'm not going to add anything else in here. But this is what I do to make my flesh tone colors, because In golden, you don't get flesh tone colors. At least I've not seen them yet. If they're there, I have not seen them yet. So I had to mix my own colors. And mixing your own and leaving them in these containers, they work. They don't go bad. They work. If it does go bad, you just clean your jar out and start all over. I mean, nothing stays forever, so, you know, if it goes bad, you just, like I said, clean it out and start over again. Okay. Now, see, with this brush, I don't worry about it. I just go ahead and it's going to be painted. It's going right in here. So, now, this one is ready. Now, number 6. This one is number 6. Which is a little looser. And it is the Territorial Beige by Apple Barrel. And it is just off just a little bit, see? Off in color just a little. So, and you can use your brush. You don't have to worry about well, I'm mixing that paint in there with it. Nah, don't worry about that. You're gonna mix it in there anyway, so don't worry about that. But like I said, always mix the color that you're putting in here with the white before you mix it all together, because you want to make sure that you're getting the same color as you already had in the container. So see, it's still a little dark than what's already in the container. So I will put some more medium in it. Now, these mediums, they last, these paints, doing it like this, it lasts a while. So, you can do 5, 6, 7, 8 babies with doing it like this, and your paints last a long time. So, yeah, this was the best way that I found to make my skin tones. See, it's getting there. Just keep mixing, and it's gonna get you right there. See, now it's almost there. And you have to put just a little bit more in there, but we're gonna keep mixing, because you just keep mixing and mixing. It'll blend and start to blend where everything starts to look the same. I don't know. Just a tinge. And having this medium in here, it keeps you from having to use a lot of water. So with you not being able to use a lot of water, you're actually putting on, because water will thin out your paints. It will also break down the molecules in your paints, and it will not make your paints adhere. Well, do I want to say adhere? Some people say that different paints have faded on them. Different lines of paint have faded on their babies. This will cause the paint not to fade. This paint should not fade on your babies, and over time it should stay. Now, you see, it is there. Now you mix it all together. Now that's a plenty, and that's a lot of paint. And when I get ready to, more than likely, I usually, well, it all depends. Sometimes I will start off with the next layer, putting one flesh-colored paint on before I put the I put the undertones, then I do the veining, and then I do the mottling. And all of that, it takes time to do that. It takes a lot of time to do that. Creasing takes the longest because you have to crease everything on the kit. Some people don't crease everything, but I feel like that everything kind of needs, paint in it. So now, now this one is ready. This is number 6. See, I won't have to do this for a long time. Okay, the last one is number 7. It is the khaki. And when it comes to the khaki, it is just about there already. Before even putting any medium in it, it is just about already there. So I'm just going to get a nice glob out. Okay. And then I'm just going to start to mix, because it is so close to what it was already in there that it doesn't make any difference. And like I said, I didn't wash this brush out at all because I didn't feel a need. It was just going to keep going into brown paint, brown paint, brown paint. So I didn't do it. And you want to mix, 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 mix. You want to mix, 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 and see, that's what it looks like. Now, we're running kind of long. Don't forget, subscribe so that I can give away something. I'm anxious to do that. I love giving away. I love giving back to people who treat me good, treat me nice. I love giving back. I am always giving somebody something. When you place an order with me, for a doll, you're going to get a small box opening, not anything elaborate, but you're going to get a small box opening with your baby. And when you buy soap from me, you always get a free gift. And the free gift is some product, another product. So I'm always giving back. When I go to the market, I do bath bombs. And when I go to the market, the kids come to my table and they want bath bombs, and they just don't have the $5 that I charge for a bath bomb. And so, well, I only got $2 and $2.50 or $3. Okay, can make a deal. Since you are a baby, we can make a deal. And you can get the bath bomb you want, but I have to have the money that you have. So, I make a lot of little deals like that with children. And they just love coming to my table for that simple reason. Okay, now, put all of our stuff in our water and let it settle down, because we are done making our paints that we're going to use on our babies. So now I've showed you how I do that. I've showed you where to go get a printout of this Bountiful Baby. Go on there, go to the Genesis Heat Set Paints, and you can get this print out and print it off so that you will have it to mimic the colors of flesh tone, the flesh tone colors. Okay, so now tomorrow, or in the next video, I will be doing, excuse me, I will be doing what is it, not flesh tones, oh wow, I just went totally blank then. Oh, I don't know what you call it. I'm just totally blank. But I will be putting on the what do you call that? I said it once before, but I just went totally blank. I'm sorry. But I will be doing the modeling and the undertones. Undertones. That's what I'm trying to get to. Duh. But I will be doing the undertones on the next video. And so that you can see where I'm putting what I put on there. Now, this is another thing. I'm feeling my head. I'm feeling my head. If it does not feel kind of gritty, just a tinge of grittiness, if it does not feel like that, then I usually go over a second time with my with priming the kit, because I want it to kind of feel like it's a little bit gritty, because I feel that that's holding the paint. That'll hold the paint on, you know. Yeah, that'll hold the paint on. Now, me feeling my baby and your baby may feel different because of the vinyl. Me feeling the vinyl, I feel like that I'm going to do a second coat. So while we're off the screen, I will be doing my other arm and leg, and then I will be going back over doing a second coat on this baby, the whole body, the whole thing, okay? So that's what will be done to mine when I get back to doing the next level, part 2. So, I think that we're going to bring this to an end. And I'm going to leave that down. Bring this to an end. And don't forget, like, subscribe, and share. Think about that. Think about this. If you enter a giveaway and you win something that I'm going to give away, it is all geared to your doll collection. But your doll wears normal baby clothes. Whatever real human babies use, we use them on our reborns. So just think about that. That if it is something that you don't need or want, if you win it, you can always save it for a baby shower gift. People are always having babies. Like I said, I make babies. I know how to make babies. But anyway, besides all of that, anyway, still, you can save that gift for a baby shower gift, or you can hand it off to somebody in your family that's having a baby. So don't forget, subscribe. I need to get to 100. So, I will see you in part 2 of Reborning Johanna. Thank you for being in my thank you for taking the time to be with me throughout this process. I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.